All right, welcome back everyone to another edition of Talk 122 with your superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. I'm here with another special guest that I'm so happy that you agreed to be on today. So for the audience, can you just state your name and then what you currently are doing, and then we'll get started.
Sure. My name is Melissa Beckford, and I'm currently the Northern Region Supervisor for Illinois Department of Veteran Affairs. I actually work not far from here at the Armory.
Oh, that's cool.
But I travel a lot. I'm a Harlem graduate.
Yes.
I have a master's in counseling, and I'm currently working on my doctorate in psychology.
That is awesome. That's a lot.
And I'm an Army veteran.
And you're an Army veteran. Oh, man. So where do you have to get some time, like free time to do some things? So let's start there then before we get into like the nuts and bolts of this interview, which is such an important one. What do you do in your free time, you know?
Most of my time is with my kids. I'm a single mom, so that adds another layer.
Okay, I got you.
So I try to be at every event that they,
right.
They participate in.
So shout outs to your kids. Yes, that's awesome.
Yes.
So what type of events do they like to do? Like sports? Like what do you like?
So my daughter's pretty athletic. She's been in track, cross country, and cheer, and then my son is very involved in the Auburn JROTC program.
Okay.
So he's always at events.
Absolutely. So that's good. So being a Harlem grad, right, and coming back to the school, in which you intended, and then to be a part of such, in my opinion, such a powerful documentary. How does that feel? Like to be a part of something. That your former school like actually put together, like people put it together and things like that. How does that make you feel?
It made me feel really special to be part of it, to be picked for this. When I met the group, I was like, whoa, I'm from Harlem. So it was perfect fit, and it was kind of emotional to come back to school and be part of this.
Yeah, lots of great things going on in Harlem, and again, like we had talked a little bit, off camera, this is one of the reasons why we really wanted to start this podcast, was for moments like this. And so can you tell the audience a little bit about the documentary and obviously your role in it?
Yeah, sure. I'm one of the females on the documentary.
So all female cast, correct?
All female cast.
That's just phenomenal. Yes.
And all of us, except for one of the females is a Marine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But we have so much in common, and we didn't realize that we did until we met each other.
Right.
We've been through similar experiences, and it's just like I can actually call them now if I need something. Like the other day, I was having issues with my car.
Right.
So I called one of the members, and so it's a great experience.
That is awesome. And so because I saw the documentary, and again, it was so powerful just to hear the stories of everyone, but in particular, your story, and like you said, being a single mom, and I think I saw your son kind of in the documentary a little bit as well, and to hear your background and your story. And so I don't want to spoil it for too many people, because I really truly believe that everyone should see the documentary, and we'll, talk a little bit about how they can view that. But if you want to give them like a small snippet of some of the things that you talked about, in the documentary.
Sure. I shared about me being an immigrant. That's very important part of my life. I'm an immigrant. The fact that I'm a single mom. The fact that I kind of had to start all over after my divorce. So that's a big part of my journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of starting over. And also just being able to see how the film, I think, has inspired my son to want to go in the military.
Oh, that is awesome. Okay, now how old's your son, if I could ask?
He's 18.
18? All right. Yeah. And so Marine? Is that what he's thinking about?
No. He's looking at different branches, but I think the Navy is what's really
Okay.
Yeah, which is, I never would have thought that. I kept saying Air Force, Air Force. And he decided he's thinking about the Navy.
Okay.
But recently he did get a scholarship already for through the JROTC program at Auburn.
Okay.
He was one of, there was only 2 recipients who received a scholarship through the Army ROTC, but he still has time to decide.
Gotcha.
That's
and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So with that whole process, because when I was principal here, I was approached a couple times, maybe more than that, of starting our own program here. What are the benefits of a program like that?
I would really encourage you to do that. I feel like it can change a kid's life. For example, with my son, he used to be an introvert.
Okay. Total
introvert. And through this process, he's like opened up, changed. He's become a leader. He's drumline commander. There's so much, like I see a total transformation. He's lost weight. He used to like not have confidence in himself.
Okay.
So I would encourage, it would be like awesome if Harlem had a JROTC program.
Okay. I know last time when I was approached, they were telling me that we needed a sponsor and someone to kind of help us, touch base with different things. Kind of putting you on the spot here. Would you like help us out with questions if we need to ask questions about how to start that?
Yes, and I know people that could help you with that.
Perfect. Yes. No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So in talking about your experiences, particularly when you were in the Marines, right?
In the Army.
In the Army. I apologize. Yeah, Army. I always thought you were at the Marines.
No, Army.
So Army. So get me straight. So Army. So looking back on that and specifically being a female, right, in the Army, what is one of the barriers that you encountered that you had to overcome? To obviously earn your respect and all of those things that is in the documentary, but just again giving some small snippets.
I think for me was, well, first of all, I was very small, very small, petite, and so nobody would have thought that I was going to go in the military.
Gotcha.
But I wasn't like your straight A student, so. I thought either I go in the military. I also didn't have money for college. So those were my main reasons. I was like, well, I don't know if I'm ready to go straight to college, and I don't know if I have the finances for college. Okay. So those were some of the things that made me want to go. But again, the struggles were being small, sometimes being taken like people looking at me like I don't have authority. Okay. Yeah. So I had to learn. Yeah. I had to, and also there was a lot of sexual harassment. Okay. We got you. I always had in my mind, because growing up, I watched the movie G.I. Jane, and I always thought it was like that. And then I saw the documentary and similarities, but at the same time, it's different, But I used to think the same way too. Yeah. That when before I went in, I was like, oh, I thought it was gonna be like that every day. Right. like almost like boot camp every day. Yep. But it's not like that. It's like, it's a job. Yes. It's absolutely. A mission, a job. Right. And it sounds like how you described it too, a way to, obviously better yourself and go to college and all the things that you don't think about. The military, right, has to provide. I remember that, that's why I have the Marine Corps in my mind. They had a program where you can, as an educator, you can go to their boot camp and kind of like experience some things so you can come back, so we can come back and talk with the kids about it. And I went to that boot camp and I could not make it through. Like they were taking me through different things. Really? And it's like, this is hard. So I can only imagine. Yeah, there's a lot of obstacles. Real, that was hard. I mean, they were making us do some things that I had no business trying to do because I was just not in shape and things like that. But yeah. And the age thing too, because I went pretty young. Okay. So that was another thing. Just learning how to fit in, because I started in the reserves first. Okay. So I was in the 863rd Engineering Battalion in Rockford. Okay. So I was with mostly males at the time. Okay. Now I work at the armory and I see females all the time, and I look back and it was a totally different experience for me. There was probably only 5 females in my whole unit.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you making me feel better by
No, it's tough. It's tough.
It was tough. I forget the type of drill it was, but I had to carry some type of metal box, like certain yards or whatever.
Right.
And just couldn't. I was like, yeah. And the other educator that went with me, he is a Marine, and so he was just knocking it out. It was fine. He was like,
wow.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, but that's cool.
I mean,
yeah, it happens. And so, as obviously finishing up, want to have a little fun with this a little bit. And so, when you think of your time in high school, right? And if you can remember the teachers that were here, favorite teacher that was here at Harlem that you had?
Mrs. Hayes.
Mrs. Hayes. Okay.
Yes, she was French teacher, but also an ESL teacher.
Okay.
So she was very inspirational to me. I found like my group with her, like with a lot of the kids that were in ESL or in the foreign exchange students. And also Ms. Belmont, she was my Spanish teacher.
Okay, that is awesome.
Those are my favorite teachers.
And I tell you, as long as we've been doing the podcast, and I'll ask a question like that, it's always like Mr. Dredge or so to hear those two names. Although I love Mr. Dredge, to hear those two names and to see how much finally you talk about them is awesome.
Yes.
And so shout out to both of them.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Wherever they are.
So anything else you want to say about the documentary, or just about that you would like to talk about, possibly motivating students to want to go to the Army? Anything you want to end with?
Yeah. So one of the things about watching the film for me, it was emotional, is to see the transition. So I saw myself when I was still a veteran service officer, working at the armory down the street.
Right, yeah.
And now that I've grown since then, and now I'm a supervisor and managing all those other veteran service officers, it's like, for me, that's one of the things I like when I see the film. I'm like, wow, that was me.
Right. So not only being able to tell your story, but to see your journey, right?
Yes.
From where you started to where you are today.
Yes.
That's such a powerful message for our students, right? And for our students to see that, how your life is right now is not how your life is going to be, 5-10 years from now, and just stick with it. Hang with it.
For me, it changed my life. It opened doors. I mean, the job I have now, helping veterans, I wouldn't have the job I have if I wouldn't have been in the military.
Gotcha. I know when I was younger, I graduated in '93, and I used to always think about like the Coast Guard, which is not like the Marines or the Army or anything.
No,
but
they're more stateside.
Yeah, but I used to think about that. Didn't go that path, but that was my initial thought. I want to do the Coast Guard. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that it taught me confidence.
Okay.
It taught me confidence. It taught me how to problem solve and never give up on things. And so those are the things that, just like it taught me that in the military, like I was telling earlier, I think the JROTC program would teach a lot of the kids here.
All right. Well, I'll make sure that I talk to the current principal and see if we can get that.
We got to talk about that.
So, well, thanks again for being on the podcast, and you're welcome back anytime.
Hey, there goes one of those petticoat soldiers now.
Yeah. My sister wants to join the WACs. What do you think of that?
Huh. She's crazy. What the devil's a woman want to be a soldier for?
I never liked being a woman. Never liked it. And you were harassed and you were bothered and all that sort of thing. Now being a woman doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. I'd like to put myself even with anybody.
When you're in the military, it's about the person next to you, and they train you. They train you to be that way. It's you know, it's that battle mentality. That person's got to have your back. You have to have trust in the person next to you. Even the females that you didn't like, you didn't exclude. You always knew that that female would have your back and I would have that female's back. We didn't have to get along, but I got you.
When we first started going to different meetings, the men would say, "All right, can you take notes?" No, I'm a Marine, you take the notes.
All right, everyone. Welcome back again to this special edition of Talk 122 with your superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. With me, continuing this episode, I don't think you need much of an introduction, but if you want to, for the crowd to kind of, just tell them, your name and your role here at Harlem High School.
Yeah, Kiara Newman. So I'm up at the high school in the social studies department. So I have in the past worked with the Harlem Veteran Project, still not necessarily in the classroom anymore with the Harlem Veteran Project, but still work closely with them. So
absolutely. Yeah, you do a lot of good work. I think you undersold yourself a little bit there, but that's okay. We'll keep going with it. And so with this particular episode and how important it is, specifically with telling the story of the individuals who were involved in it. Can you talk a little bit again about the documentary, and then maybe give the public a couple opportunities and when they can view it? I viewed it. It was phenomenal. The stories were powerful. I can't believe I'm putting this on camera, but I think I almost cried a couple times, but because it's just so much there, right? And so much it seemed like the individuals involved overcame, right? And so you take it from there.
yes. So just give you a little background on how we came up with the idea or what, the focus of it was actually student driven. So former students and then at the time a current student really wanted to get the female voice. So through the Harlem Veteran Project, we, kind of put out a press release and we got tons and tons of stories, but we didn't get a whole lot of the female perspective. Okay. So they really wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to fill that gap. Mm-hmm. So this was the summer of 2019. And we're like, yes, we're going to get it. The next 1 year, it'll be out kind of that next August. And then, COVID hit and that just slowed everything down significantly, but they all stuck with it. They all, through finishing college, going to get their master's, going to grad school, and
that says a lot,
yes.
Right? Like to stick with something that they were so passionate about, even through COVID and through college, that says a lot. And I just wanted to kind of honor them for that. So
yes, they were really, really great in the process. And I think that was something really nice too, in that kind of like whole lockdown situation. Like we still met regularly over Zoom. So it was nice to have that passion still from them and kind of making sure we were figuring out what our next steps were. How do we kind of go from here, and all of that. So the documentary focuses on 5 female veterans. And we just kind of went into it like, we're going to interview these individuals. We're going to see what they have to say and kind of what are the stories, and how do we honor those stories. And there were a lot of, overlapping themes that we saw come out of it. There were a lot of individual themes too, that we definitely wanted to highlight. But I think it just kind of all came together as we were, getting the stories and then kind of following up with them. And, it was kind of a little blessing in disguise too that it took longer because we got to see Erin, have this dream in her first interview and then see that dream come true throughout. So I think that was something that we, meant a lot. I mean, obviously meant a lot to her, right? Like seeing that, but meant a lot to us to be able to kind of be with her on that journey in our small little way, which I think was really awesome.
Yeah.
And then to that second part, I'm sorry, I'm
You're fine. You're
very
good.
long-winded. The kids tell me all the time. But opportunities to view it. So this Friday at Rock Valley College, it will be showing for their veterans kind of program there. And then this weekend in St. Louis at the St. Louis International Film Festival, it's going to be playing there as well.
Gotcha. So depending on how quickly we can get this together and out, whether or not, but either way, I think that people will have opportunities to see it. Again, I think the piece is going to be out forever, right? And so for me, and I want to focus on just like, I don't want to give it away too much, because like it's one of those things where you see the movie and you want to tell people, but you really don't, because then you'll spoil it for them. But there was a scene in there, and for me it kind of encompasses the project where it seemed like you have these 5 women, right? And they're all telling their stories, but they're individual stories. But at the end, it almost seems like they developed a friendship, like together, because you mentioned like common themes that you saw, but it seemed like they became friends, right? And so there's a scene, and I don't want to say like describe it too much, but where they all came together, right? And that's where I got emotional, because it's like not only were individual stories and they described the barriers that they overcame, but they almost looks like they became friends too, right? And so I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about any of that moments where it really hit you too, like, you know what, we got something here, right? So in honoring stories and things of that nature is important, but also, we have something here that's going to be long lasting, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many things that really stick with me throughout this. And we did try to I think after our initial interviews, we kind of started to see these, how do we get them together? How do we continue this conversation? And a lot of them kind of knew each other going into it, some more than others. Some were kind of in the same groups. But we actually there was like a group interview we did as well that didn't end up making the cut. But I think that was nice just to get them all together too. So just trying to create kind of those situations where they did get an opportunity to interact with each other a little bit more, because they do the interview individually, and I can only imagine how like nerve-wracking that must be. Like, here's what I said. What are they going to use? What are other people saying? Like, I can't even imagine that, right? So giving them an opportunity to kind of get to know each other, interact with each other, interact with us too. I think we really tried to create those opportunities. And then, that end scene, I think was really special for a lot of reasons, but to see, it kind of all come together, and just, how they interact, and they're all like super, super great. Like so trusting of us, which is not easy to, just tell your story to a bunch of strangers. And I mean, because it did take us so long, there were many times where we'd call and be like, hey, can we come film you do this? For Melissa, it was like, hey, can we come film you and your kids riding your bikes? Just like, or... And
Melissa was like, yes,
yes, they all were so willing to just be super accommodating and like, let us come whenever, and all of these different things. So I think that was really awesome to see. And I don't think, and I said this before too, I think this project more so than any other, it just, the collaboration of it all was really refreshing and really nice, both from like our team, but also, from the women themselves too, just kind of having those conversations, kind of going back and forth with like, hey, here's kind of where we're at, or can we get this, or I think it was just really nice to to be a part of like that team.
Okay.
Where it felt very like everyone was contributing and really interested in, had, you know, a voice in it.
Yeah, so stay in that space a little bit, because I was going to ask you that question of, because the Harlem Vet Project, you guys have done some phenomenal work over the years, and you know, obviously, you know, been in been invited to a number of places to show your work and what you do. What stood out the most to you about this particular project, and not obviously picking it or rating it with the other ones, but what stood out the most to you with this one in particular? Why it's so special?
Oh, there's
Or
a number of things.
or a few things, right? Like,
well, I think for me as an educator, having the opportunity to be a part of this class and just seeing how it's evolved has been life-changing. Capturing like oral histories, I think, is so important because it gives an opportunity for the community to tell their story, right? Okay. Like, I mean, as a history teacher, you're kind of confined with time and space and what's available and kind of the go-tos, right? But I think what was so special to start this one was that student, like, we have to get females. Okay. We have to get this voice that we don't have, like them being so conscious of this and so like persistent and like, we need to reach out. We need to find these stories. Yeah. And then just seeing them stick with it. Like, COVID was tough, and I mean, people kind of shut down, and rightfully so. Like, it was tough. It was hard. But seeing them understand the significance of like, hey, we went out and we found these women and we have their stories and we need to see this through, and just their passion and commitment and making sure that happened. Do we wish it happened a little quicker? Probably, but at the same time, there were some benefits about, you know, stretching it out a little bit too, and so I think that was something that was really special about that, and just hearing kind of a different perspective. You know, it is an honor to be able to talk to people. Yeah, it's an honor to be able to hear their stories, and then to be able to share that, I think, is so special. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that. And what you just said kind of reminded me of too, just watching it and thinking back on how powerful each one of their stories were, and needing to tell the story. It sounded like they needed to tell the story. And so I was so honored to hear that and be a recipient of that. And so a little fun before I let you go. So Melissa did a wonderful job, you know, before you, right? And so I wouldn't ask her this question because I don't think she would answer that way, because she's so humble and not thinking that she's such a powerful speaker. And so when you talked a little bit, you took us behind the scenes on the scene that didn't make it, right, into it a little bit. So when you think of Melissa, when you think of her always, like, if you call and say, hey, let me get a picture or some video of you with your kids riding the bike, any bloopers? Any blooper? Oh. Any blooper moment where you're like, man, I wish I could get that on the camera, but nah, that's not a part of the story. I don't know if there was any like bloopers. There was a lot of really like fun shoots that we had with her. Like, we went to, what is it, Bravehearts, the like the horseback riding with her and her kids. It, but I can't even remember where. It's not too far away. But that was super cool because, I mean, they have the horses and, you know, we're not going to be able to go to that any other time. I mean, maybe, but so I think that was really cool, that, you know, kind of shoot that we were able to do with her and her kids. And just, you know, just seeing her interacting with her kids, I think was just really, it was nice to see just that dynamic, and being able to capture that was really cool. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that
Yeah.
we were able to. That's the other thing, not to, again,
that's
long-winded, but
Good,
like
yeah.
there's a lot of really cool opportunities that we get to, to hang out with them, go different places, see different things. And
Right. So I'm glad you said that too, because obviously there's going to be more, right? Documentaries. There are going to be more opportunities for others to tell their stories, and you're going to want them to. And this is a perfect example of how beautiful and fun a project like this could be, right? And so for all those individuals out there, when we start calling and we want you to be a part of it, it's okay. Melissa was on here and she even said it off camera a little bit, and I don't think she'll be mad at me. I hope not too much, because she was an Army vet, so I don't know. I don't want. But she said this gets, she used to be shy and now she's comfortable on camera and saying things, and so just being able for our veterans to tell their stories is so powerful for our community, specifically our younger generation, to hear that. And then, like Melissa said earlier too, all the opportunities that are afforded to our young, high school kids who want to go into college and things of that nature. And this is an avenue for that. So anything else you would like to say about the project, or anything else to the community?
no, I think just, well, as I say no, and then I'm about to say something.
That's good.
No, I think that this is a really awesome opportunity that our kids have, this class. Expanding it beyond just veteran stories too. I never would have imagined anything like this in high school. And it's just, the power of stories, the power of,
Absolutely.
Hearing people in your community is so awesome. And I'm just so blessed that Harlem has this, and I was able to find my way into it, because it really has, it's changed my life. I know it's changed students' lives. I've seen, I've seen that happen. So it's just, I thank the district for having this class.
Yeah. And it will continue to be here, even long before, even long after I'm gone. This is just, I think it's cemented itself as a need in our community and in our schools. So thank you. Thank you for being on. So again, thank everyone. This was one of those episodes where I really believe we needed to dig deep and really get the why behind the documentary and the project and the benefits, for our community to see something like this, specifically our kids, and to see our kids who put this together along with their advisors, specifically with a barrier like COVID, started in 2019 and ending with such a powerful project. I hope you get an opportunity to see it, because it definitely made an impact on me. So like always, thank you for tuning in. I am Harlem. You are Harlem. We are Harlem. Thanks again, everyone.